Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michelle Rapp from the Office of Alumni Relations at Northeastern, and my role is to organize programs like this, oversee the NUSource networking platform, and I provide some career coaching as well. I try to offer programs that cover lots of different interests, so feel free to always let me know something that's on your mind. I'm really excited. I'm glad that people are interested in this topic. It's such an important thing that can impact all aspects of your career to really know your brand and be able to know how to communicate it. I'm really excited to have alumna Beste Ozer Tezcan joining us today. Beste is a career and leadership coach dedicated to helping mid-career professionals navigate uncertainty and change with clarity, confidence, and adaptability. With over a decade of experience in talent development, she has designed and led leadership development programs for professionals at all levels, help them build self-awareness and enhance their skills, abilities, and potential. Beste has coached over 50 professionals at Google as an internal coach and mentored more than 100 young professionals through her nonprofit work. Drawing from her background in coaching, leadership development, and emotional intelligence, she equips leaders with various tools and strategies to navigate transitions and create meaningful, lasting change. Having lived in Turkey, Switzerland, Croatia, and now the US, Beste understands the challenges of transitions firsthand and brings a global perspective to her coaching. So thank you, Beste, for being here.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you all. Thank you all for introducing yourself in the chat and sharing about what this change means to you. There's a lot of content I want to go through, so I will get started. But if someone is joining in, you can also catch up from the recording later too. So there are 4 teams. I usually work with individuals and teams to help them lead themselves through uncertainty and change. The first one is around building self-awareness and reflecting on what matters most to them during change, what their needs are in the process. The second one is around crafting their personal brand and story and using it as a stabilizing force when everything around them is changing and there's little that they can control. The third one is around shaping that brand with others and building relationships with people that they're interested to learn from. And the last one is around mastering mindset and habits. And this includes anything from time and energy management, boundaries, intentionality, confidence, as well as breaking the change process into tiny bits to focus on one tiny thing at a time. Today, we will be focusing on the second step, crafting your personal brand and story. This topic can serve you in different ways. If you are navigating a lot of change right now and you feel like there's not much in your control, your personal brand can become your internal compass that you can rely on. If your manager, title, company changes, your drive, your skills, your experience is yours, and no one can take them away from you. If you are navigating a career transition, you can make use of your personal brand in your resumes, LinkedIn, interviews, networking calls. If you're going for a promotion, you can apply the same framework we will explore today for your projects, build a brand for them that you can share with your manager or in your promo packet. So there's a lot of different ways you can apply personal brand story. So the learning objectives for today is to understand what a brand statement is and what it consists of, and recognize how purpose provides direction and allows for better personal branding. Who am I? So this is one version that I can introduce myself to you. I'm Beste. I'm a career coach based in San Francisco. I worked at Google for 6 years in people operations, left in September 2024 to focus full-time on coaching. Take a second to think about how does that land on you. Here is another version. I'm Beste. I'm passionate about empowering individuals to lead fulfilling lives. My personalized coaching programs cultivate self-awareness, enhance leadership skills, guide professionals toward achieving their aspirations. I help people become extraordinary leaders and build meaningful careers. Take a second to think about how does this reflect, land on you. How are they similar? How are they different from each other? And here's another version. I'm Beste. I'm passionate about cultivating people's potential in their personal and professional development journey. I guide professionals through self-discovery, mindset shifts, strategic action to navigate uncertain times with clarity and confidence. Through one-to-one coaching, workshops, leadership development programs, I empower individuals and teams to grow, lead, and thrive. Take a second to reflect on this one, and we will come back to this slide at the end too, to talk more about it. So the agenda for today is, first we will talk about the model called the Golden Circle, which has three components: the why, the how, and the what. Then we will dive into discovering your why, discovering your purpose. This includes a quick 10-15 minute exercise. So if you have something you can write on, or if you want to open a quick document to take quick notes, that will be helpful. It's going to be a self-reflection process, so you don't have to interact with others if that makes you feel uncomfortable. And then we will talk about the how and the what. Then we will talk about how to put all of that together to form your personal brand statement. And then we will also at the end talk about how we can apply the same framework for your bullet points in your resumes. So there's this guy called Simon Sinek. He's super famous. If you research him on the internet, you can find a lot of information about him. He has a book called Start With Why. In his book, he talks about the idea of the golden circle. The golden circle consists of three circles within each other: the what, the how, and the why. The model enables you to respond to the question of tell me about yourself in any conversation and would be the basis of your personal brand and story. The statement version has only 3 sentences that can be used to quickly introduce yourself. The story is an expanded version of the statement that can be used when you have more time to talk about yourself. The first thing to focus on in your brand is your why. Why do you do what you do? Why are you interested in what you are interested in? What is your purpose? What do you believe in? The second thing is your how. How do you provide value? What is your process? What are actions you take that make your why come true? And the last thing is your what. What value you provide? What are the results of your why? This is the part we talk about facts and provide proof. Human brain remembers stories with emotional impact. The why enables you to create that emotional impact, and the how and what enables you to provide the facts. So you kind of make use of both facts and stories in your personal brand. And as I said, that could just be three quick sentences. The main focus today will be on the why part, as that's the step that's most skipped. And it is a little, you probably already know your what, you just have to put it together. And the how is also a little easier to find out, but why usually takes some time to form. Let's look at some examples. For example, since I worked at Google, I was looking into how Google brands themselves. When you communicate outside in, which means that you start with what, and then you might not get into how or why. Google says we organize the world's data through our innovative technology and into the platforms. So this is what they do. If you communicate inside out instead, start with why, talk about what, how, and then go to what. This is what that looks like. So they say we believe information empowers. This is their why. We believe in making knowledge universally accessible and useful. This is also their why. We develop innovative technology and intuitive platforms that connect people with the information they need. This is their how. We just happen to organize the world's data. This is their what they do. From a personal standpoint, for example, if I communicate outside, then I say I'm a career coach. My process helps you evolve your career with clarity and confidence. Versus if I communicate inside out, I share I'm passionate about empowering individuals to live fulfilling lives. My personalized coaching programs cultivate awareness, enhance leadership skills, guide professionals toward achieving their aspirations. I help people become extraordinary leaders and build meaningful careers. Take a second to look at them to see how you would respond to the things on the left side versus the things on the right side. So, reflecting on your why enables you to think about what you believe in and what you're passionate about. This helps you capture the listener's attention, help you connect with them, and work with people who believe in what you believe in. For example, at Google, the sentence from before: we believe information empowers, we believe in making knowledge universally accessible and useful. And then, in terms of individual example, I'm passionate about cultivating people's potential in their professional and personal and professional development journey. For example, another example that I had from a client is inspiring, educating, and empowering people through storytelling. So this part is basically all about like, why do you do what you do? What makes you think? What motivates you? What do you care about? Any questions on any of that?
Nothing yet, but feel free, everyone, to add things into the chat as we go along.
Perfect. Okay, so here is the exercise part. So we are going to attempt to form a sentence. But just so that you know, this sentence might come to you right away. For some people, it takes 3 months. For sometimes it takes many iterations. So you just have like a version of it that you keep playing with it. So if you don't form one right away, that is very normal. For the most part, no one forms a sentence right away. At the same time, since I'm a coach, I'm going to challenge you to write something anyway. Even if it's not perfect, even if you don't think that it captures what you are passionate about, what you believe in, but we are going to try to form something so that you can play with it later on. At the same time, if you don't think that is possible, that is also totally okay. But so what we are going to do is I'm going to show you 10 questions. For each question, you will have a minute to juggle some notes quickly. Don't overthink too much. Write the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't write sentences, write like keywords, bullet points. And then this is kind of more like collecting data. So there's no judgment. You don't have to judge yourself like, does this make sense? Does this make sense? And stuff. If a question doesn't make sense to you, feel free to unmute, put in the chat, ask about it. But for the most part, they're pretty straightforward. I'm gonna give everyone a couple of like 30 seconds to find something to write on in your laptop on a physical paper, and then we will get started. Now I will open up the timer for each question too. Okay, let's get started. Here is the first question. What makes you smile? You don't have to answer them in the chat. You can write them on your own. Okay, next question. What are your favorite things to do? Next question. What activities make you lose track of time? Next question. What makes you feel confident and proud? Next question. Who inspires you the most? Which qualities inspire you in them? Next question. What are you naturally good at? Next question. What do people often ask for your help with? Next question. If you could teach one thing, what would it be? Next question. What would you regret not pursuing in your life? And last question. What challenges have you overcome or are working through? How did you approach them? And we are done. How was this? I see Jessica smiling. Okay. So there's still a next step with this. Challenging. Loved it. Amazing. Exactly. So now what we are going to do with all of this? Look through all the words you have and then circle the action words you connect with. Think through what impact you can make, what can benefit from you, who can benefit from your work. And then this is the challenging part. No matter what you have, try to come up with a sentence. This doesn't mean that this is going to be your sentence going forward, but it's just to get in the habit of like playing with this. So for example, the example that I have here is unlock human potential by coaching people in their personal professional development journey. And the words that I picked from this exercise are the ones that are in red. So I had potential, coaching, and development. So I will give everyone 3 more minutes to digest the data and see if we can form a sentence. And if you have things like cooking, hiking, and stuff, those are very normal. And we usually investigate a little bit more into them to see what they mean. But see what comes up for you now. Let's have 1 more minute. Okay. Is there anyone who has a sentence and will be willing to share? You can unmute, you can put it in the chat. Doesn't have to be perfect. Laura.
Hi. Um,
Hello. Thank you for raising your hand with this.
yes. So I said supporting meaningful businesses with project management, organization, and problem solving.
Love that. Okay. Let's all send a heart, clap, whatever. That is amazing. And you did this in like what, 3 minutes? That is huge. And you can keep playing with this. I see something in the chat, leading others with lightness to explore with curiosity their self by expressing authentically. Love that. Love that. Okay, maybe one more. Is there one more person who wanna take a stab at this? That is totally okay. And as I mentioned, like this might not, okay, we have one more. Define and implement creative solutions to social problems through continued reflection, research, and innovation. That is also amazing. That is so cool. I'm so impressed by all of you. Usually, like when I ask this after 3 minutes, everybody's like, I don't have a sentence, I don't know how to put them together. But it seems like we have such great examples already. And as I mentioned, if you don't have a sentence right now, that is totally okay. If you have things like cooking, hiking, I don't know, swimming, and you're like, I don't know how this comes in a sentence and how this is related to my why, that is also very normal. If you wanna reflect on this together, let me put in the chat like my connection call link so we can connect one-to-one, reflect on it together too. We have one group. I want to explore human condition and create audio-visual experiences to communicate people with empathy. Love that too. Love that. Thank you all. Hopefully this was helpful and meaningful. And then another thing with this exercise is that you can keep doing this in, I don't know, maybe like every year, every 6 months, every 2 years and stuff, and see if there's anything that is changing. That is also super interesting to do. Okay, so this was the why part. Now we're gonna move on to the how. So the how is, what are you known for? What value do you bring to teams and companies? How do you make an impact? What sets you apart? What are your unique skills and qualities? So for example, in the Google example, they say we develop innovative technology into the platforms to connect people with the information that they need. In my statement, I use like self-discovery, mindset shifts, strategic action to navigate uncertain times with clarity and confidence. How do you find our how? So there's different things you can do. There are personality assessments you can take that could give you data about, so since they're self-assessments, they're kind of like your perception of yourself to some extent, but it can still be helpful to kind of see what comes up if there's anything that you find interesting, surprising. But another exercise that I really love to do with people is to ask 10-15 people the following question. What are the first 3 words that come to your mind when you think of me? And the more diverse the people that you ask, the better. So these could be like family members, colleagues at work, neighbors, you know, like not from just like one part of your life, but from all parts of your life. And then at the end, you kind of have a list of like 45 words-ish. And then we kind of do the same thing with the why exercise. We look for patterns and see like what is repeatable, what is repeating itself. So that could also give you information about what your how is. And then you can also reflect on, is this how I want to be known for? Is there something that is missing here? Is there something that is new that I didn't think I was good at? Or is this aligned with my perception of myself? So you can kind of look into the data to understand, like, does this make me, like, do I want to be known like this? What can I pull from this? If there's anything missing, what can you do to be known for the thing that is missing? And thank you, Michelle. You can take the Clifton Strengths True Career Design Office at Northeastern. Love that. Clifton Strengths, I think normally you have to pay. Via Character Strengths is free to do. But Clifton Strengths is a little bit more like work career oriented versus Via Strengths is more like general. Okay. And then the last thing, the what. What do you do? What is the proof of what you believe in? What are your strengths? What are your positive experiences? So for the Google example, this is about like organizing the world's data. For me, it's helping people become extraordinary leaders, build meaningful careers. There's also a framework you can use for the what. So you can talk about the present. What are you doing now? past, what were you doing before, and future, where are you going, where are you trying to go, what will you do next. So for example, in this example, we have, I'm currently enrolled in a 3-month web development program. Before, I was working as an elementary school teacher, loved incorporating tech into my curriculum. Now, I have a passion for learning to code, want to make that my profession, and I want to enter the field as a full stack web developer. So for the what part, you can also use this framework of present, past, future. So now let's take a look at the examples from before again. So the first example is just focused on my what. What do I do? It has nothing about my how or my why. The second one, the first sentence is the why. The second paragraph is the how. And the third paragraph is the what. And in the third example, it's kind of like a more expanded version of the second column. And it has a little bit more detail to it. So once you have your foundation of your brand, you can play with it to make it as short or as long as you want. For example, on your resume, in your summary section, you only have like 3 to 5 lines to explain yourself. So you have to have something super short. Versus in an interview, when they ask, like, tell me about yourself, you have a little bit more space to explain yourself. Or on your LinkedIn, in your About Me section, you have a little bit more space to get deeper. So you can kind of have versions of your brand that is like super short, that is a little longer, that is in the middle and stuff. But it's always the why, the how, and the what. Some things to keep in mind. Deliver a message. The goal is to not get the question of like, so what? But tell me more. When you say like, I'm a career coach, it could be like, okay, so what? But then if you say like, I help people, like I'm passionate about cultivating people's potential and enabling them to navigate change with clarity, confidence, and adaptability, they can be more interested and ask like, tell me more. Once you have your why, how, what, read them out loud, make it sound like you. Use words you would say to a friend. Do not integrate any jargon. Keep playing with it, keep refining it. And then after the what, you can also end with a call to action that has a realistic, achievable outcome. So for example, the example we have here says, if these skills are interest to you, we can connect and talk about what I might be able to do for your team. So you kind of pass the ball to the other person to have them respond to you. And then practice sharing your personal brand so it becomes more natural to talk about it. This is a great example of like this framework in application. I'm not gonna open the video right now, but I will put it in the chat so you can watch it on your own time. I think this is like 4 minutes long, and it's a great example of showing the progression of like, how do you say just your what, how do you say the other stuff, and then how do you actually create a relationship with the other person too. Some more branding about resumes. So for example, this was something I had in my resume before. Developed our team's onboarding curriculum to meet learning and development needs of new hires. What do you think of this bullet point? I see Michelle is like, nice. Okay, so this only focuses on the what I did. So when I read this, I can be like, so what? Why should I care? Here's another version of it. Wait, give me 1 second. Nope. Developed our team's onboarding curriculum and upskilled 100+ new hires. So this still focuses on the what, but now it has some numbers in it. So there's a little bit more like details about like how many people did this person trained. So it's a little better, but it still just talks about the what. Here's another version. Increase new hires' job readiness from 39% to 76% by redesigning our team's onboarding curriculum and upskilling 100 plus people. Take a second to look into this one. So this one starts with the why. Like, why did we actually do this? Because we were trying to increase job readiness. And then it also has numbers to say we went from 39 to 76. Then the part after the why is the what. So our why was to increase job readiness. What did we do to do that? We designed the curriculum and upskilled 100 plus people. Here's another version. Increased job readiness by managing onboarding process, upskilling 100 plus people. So the third one and the fourth one is pretty similar to each other. The only difference between them is the words that we are using. So for example, if we're applying for a learning design role, they always want to see the keywords of like design, curriculum, and stuff. So that is the words that you use by saying like redesigning the curriculum and stuff. Versus in the last one, if you're applying more to like program management operations roles, they want to see the words of like manage, process, and stuff. That's why we are using that version. So it also depends on what you are applying to. What are the words that you are seeing in the job description, and then mimicking them as much as possible. But not just focusing on the what, but leading with the why. Why did you actually do it, and what did you do? And in the interview, you can also take this one step further and then explain the how to. But in a resume, you don't have space to explain all the why, how, what. So this is usually the framework I use for resumes. So here's a quote from Michelle Obama. There's power in allowing yourself to be known and heard, in owning your unique story, in using your authentic voice. Since I was in the tech sector, I had like 8 managers, 4 team changes. I think we had like 4 reorgs, we had vendorizations, layoffs. So it was very difficult to control anything or to kind of think about like, who am I, what am I doing and stuff, because it kept changing. But once I was able to make a mindset shift and be like, okay, it's not about what team I work for, it's not about what company I work for, it's not about what is the work that I do, but reflecting, turning inward, and understanding like, why do I care about what I care about, what do I care about, how do I create impact? No matter how much change you go through, those are always yours, and it doesn't matter where you work, what you do, those are you can take them with you anyway. So it's very important to own your story in your own authentic voice. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, continue the conversation, here's a QR code, you know my name. I think I put the link for a one-to-one call in the chat. Like, we can use that to define the why, the how, the what, to put your personal brand statement together, to review your resume, get feedback. And then if you are interested in learning more about coaching programs, we can also talk about that. And then I also offer a 15% discount until end of May for people who join the workshop. And let me also put in the chat the feedback form. I would really appreciate if you can let me know how the session was, what went well, what you will want to see differently. And then for anyone who fills out the form, I send a 1-pager of everything we discussed today, so you have the information.
I'm wondering too if people, right, so I'm just going to ask if anyone had more questions or if people want to work through something that we're working on as part of these exercises. We have a little time to do that.
Yes. So I was kind of rushing through so that we have time for Q&A, but I think we did good on timing because we still have 10 more minutes.
I have a quick question.
For sure.
So, the questions, when I went through the questions, I was answering them much more like personally, like what do I like to do personally? What do I like to do? And then when I went to go create a sentence from it that would be like a professional, I had a hard time doing that translation because I feel like I have my sort of professional persona and things that I like to do at work and then things I like to do at home.
Mhm.
So should I put a different cap on when I'm doing these questions?
I love that you're asking that because this question always comes.
Okay.
So when you are answering the questions, you shouldn't just focus on career, you should focus on like your life in general. And then the part about taking that personal things like hiking to professional level is kind of like reflecting on whatever comes up from that words and thinking more about like what does that mean to you. For example, like tell me something that came up that is personal.
Well, I love to play games. I love chess and strategic games and puzzles. There's strategic thinking in there for sure and planning. That
Yeah, so for example, I would ask you about like what does puzzles mean to you? What about puzzles excites you?
Yeah, I guess that would be the solution, like figuring it out, the problem solving part of it.
Exactly. So we will kind of like dig into deeper of everything that came out, like puzzles, but beneath that, the thing that you like about puzzles is problem solving, for example.
Yeah.
Or for
Yeah.
hiking, the thing beneath that is something else. So we kind of like dig deeper into all of the stuff that come up and
Yeah.
then write them again, and then you reflect on all of them again and see
Okay.
like what are the patterns.
Okay, yeah, because I would say that it was interesting that I didn't really write down things of like, helping to develop, other people's skills or mentoring or, but things I do like doing that at work. So I'll have to approach it a few different ways, but that's helpful. Thank you.
For sure. And I probably forgot to say this, but like if you just focus on the exercise from a professional lens, it usually doesn't help too much. So
Ah,
it's always super helpful to go from the personal lens and then to take that further.
then translate it.
Exactly.
That
'Cause if
makes
you
sense.
focus on the professional life, then it's like a limiting part of you. Versus
Yeah.
you can write puzzles in there, then we have more room to explore different things.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's really
Perfect.
good. Thank you.
And I saw that there's a request access issue with the form, but I'm giving access to everyone right now.
Okay, yeah, that was me because when I clicked it, it was like a
I
Google.
don't know why that happened. They keep changing stuff. Google is Google. They keep playing with things. Um, but if you request access, I am providing access to everyone right now. Any other questions? Anything in the chat or anything from anyone else? We still have 6 more minutes.
All right, we've got some action steps here from Yoon, or actually it's a note taker. Appropriate given your Google background.
And another
Beste.
thing, yeah, go
Hi,
ahead.
it's Jin. I have very similar situation like Jessica. I started, that I don't put any like chess or any strategic, way to it. Mine, I think I got stuck with a lot of playing with kids. Becoming a mom, right? Enjoying all this.
Mhm.
So that's the pattern I found out from what I wrote down. Then when I saw people's answers, ooh, professional. Yeah, it's how to try. What do you see behind this? It's like, okay, one part of me is wanting to be more like a mom side natural, right? Or just like a playing with kids. What does that mean in translating to work? It's working on project management, developing partnership, and right. Which direction should I take from there?
So I would encourage you again, and if you're interested, we can do that on a one-to-one call too. we have a tendency to think about ourselves in different contexts. Like I, for example, had a client who was doing like 3 different things, and she was like, I have a Y for A, I have a Y for B, I have a Y for C. I don't know how they connect together. So I would encourage you to think about finding things that are applicable to all of that. Like playing with kids is probably super related to something that you are also interested at work. For example, like play is one of my teams too, when I do like values exercise, which is a little different. So then we think about like, what does play mean? What about that you like? So that could be like creativity, for example. So it's like, okay, then for example, like you don't like following processes, but you like creating new stuff, kind of thing. So it takes some time to push through it, but then you can always find stuff that connects all parts of your lives together.
Must
Not just
be.
like,
Yeah.
this is my professional life, this is my personal life, but like you are you, and how you show up at work and how you show up at home could look different, but at the same time, you probably enjoy the same things.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like spending some time to reflect on that to find out like what is the themes that are not just like professional versus personal, but like that is appealing to me in general.
Thank you. This is super helpful to clarify or the direction of, yeah, exactly. I see the connection. Thank you. Thank you. This is such a fun way. And thank you, Jessica, for asking that question.
Perfect, for sure, for sure. And as I said, like now you have your data, you can keep digesting it and playing with it. And you can keep doing stuff similar to this to understand like one of the exercises that we do with clients, for example, is also energy audit. Like what gives you energy, what drains energy from you.
Mhm.
And then kind of writing them down and then seeing patterns to understand like, okay, every time I connect with people, I get energized. Or every time I connect with people, I get de-energized. Or every time I play with my kids, I get energized, disenergized and stuff, right? So it's like becoming conscious of those things and seeing like what are the patterns, and then thinking about like how can I create more time that gives me energy with activities that gives me energy, versus how can I, is there an opportunity for me to get away from things that takes away energy from me. Amazing. 2 more minutes. Any other questions? Perfect. If there's
That's
no
I
other
want to.
questions, we can close it out with everyone who's interested.
All right, we've got some networking opportunity
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Laura.
this is also another great way of doing this too. Like supporting each other is super, super important. Practicing your personal brand with someone who is not like trying to, who you are not trying to impress is also super important. And if you have kids, for example, practicing your brand with your kids is also super important because they give you so much honest feedback. They're like, like that sucks. That's not you, mom, kind of thing. So, it's like building, crafting it is one thing, and then practicing it, getting feedback from people about it is also another thing.
Well, Beste, thank you so much. You made it fun. I think it was amazing to whip through those questions and think of things a little bit differently than maybe how we've been taught about elevator pitch. And I think your examples were really helpful to kind of see the impact of different language, different like where it's coming from, and bringing authenticity to it as well. So thank
Love that.
you.
For
So-
sure. And these are, I want to show you my last slide because this is always my favorite slide. I love minions. Thank you
Great.
all. Have a great rest of your day. As I mentioned, if you want to connect, send me a LinkedIn request, book a call. fill out the feedback form. And hopefully this was helpful. And, boosting your self-confidence, navigating change, whatever the goal that you have for yourself.
Excellent. And thank everyone for coming and your participation. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.